So how do you see, because I'm not sure where I heard the number, but I think it was a confirmed number that as of this point there are around 2,500 registered pedal companies in the world.
Wow.
2,500. And that includes the guy who, sits at home and makes like makes fuzzes on these like small mini turret boards and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see that going forward? Because I feel like in the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm not gigging. I could build pedals. It seems like that seems to be a good idea. It's not necessarily a good idea. Because there is a difference between like creating a pedal and building one pedal and being happy with it and being happy that maybe you sold it the next day.
Yeah.
And it's another one like scaling production and like stay at it and be consistent and do consistent work so that, you sell it to the next guy. He's happy. The third guy, the fourth guy, whatever. And then your goal needs to be that the 100th guy also buys it and is happy, and same as the first or the second. But that is to achieve that can be difficult due to a lot of factors. And I think during the pandemic, this whole thing totally went like nuts with people building pedals everywhere. And now there's just like, there's so many that we don't even know the company. There are probably a couple of hundred companies only in Brazil that make pedals, and they pretty much only do them for their domestic market because their domestic market is big enough. And if they ship something outside Brazil, it's going to be so expensive that it doesn't make sense. We don't know about these people,
Right.
So how do you see that going forward? Do you think that at some point this is like slowly going down again, and those people who manage to stay consistent are going to stay afloat or not? How do you see it?
But it's hard to say. The brutally honest answer is that a handful will survive and a bunch will go out of business. And that's a hard, bitter pill to swallow a lot of times, but
Oh yeah.
it kind of has to, because the market isn't that big. And like you said, it's one thing to build a pedal and then sell it on Reverb or something like that. It's a completely different thing to build 1,000 pedals and sell those on Reverb or to retailers or whatever. Like, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Completely different skill sets, and probably you don't want the headache of. So, but I'm a big subscriber to like the 1,000 true fans model. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically like, if you have 1,000 people that love you and love what you do, and you can make something that those people want to buy from you, and you make $100 per year off of each one of those persons, that's $100,000 a year income.
Yeah, that's true.
Off 1,000 people, And I think, if I was starting out today, that would be my model. Like, I need to evangelize in a good way, not like a greasy, nasty way. Like, I need to make something that people love so much that they want to buy everything I do.
Right.
And I just need 1,000 people that will love what I do as much as I love it, And if I do that, then I can make a living.
Right.
Again, no one's buying yachts in the pedal business. I would also give some advice that Seymour Duncan gave to me when I was starting out. Not being a dick and dropping names, but like literally, he said this to me, and it stuck with me ever since. Even at his level, and this was 2008 or so. He's like, stay small. You don't want the headache of a big business, and the money's no different. It's the same amount of money. Just keep it as small as you can.
That's an interesting point, because I think for all the people that start in this business, right? They're making pedals. They all want to be able to live off of it. But secretly, I think everyone would love to be rich from it, you know? And there's also the yeah, but there's the notoriety too of saying, like, if every musician, like every guitar player, if you say JHS, Wampler, Keeley, we know who the people are. Like, we know who the builders are. And it's kind of like the rock star of the gear industry, right? We know who those people are. And I think there's a lot of people who are starting that would like that because there's some weight behind it. If you say this boutique company with a really well-known pedal builder just put out a new pedal, people are interested. There's chatter around it. But the person, let's say in Brazil, who's making maybe 200 pedals a year, doesn't have that kind of exposure. Their market is so expensive to get anything into the country that, you know, they're just marketing to people around them. And that's okay too, because they might not need to be rich. They might not need to be well known and written down in the history books. They just need to be able to do something they're passionate about and be able to pay their bills and eat. So that, I think, like, this dream of wanting to be big, there might not be enough room at the top for everybody. But I think if you look at the whole scale, it's okay if you sell 50 pedals a year to, you know, your buddies that are playing in bands and they can't afford to buy like the boutique stuff. So they'll buy it from you. And for you, it's a side income. So there's really a lot of companies, but they're not all like destined to be super successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's the takeaway from wanting to be in an industry. Like, there's companies that are making guitar pickups. I've never even heard of them. They still get to pay their bills and they can still eat and they're having fun, but they're not Seymour Duncan, they're not DiMarzio, they're not Fishman, but it doesn't prevent them from being able to be in this ecosystem and still make a living. Yeah. I think we sometimes have to, like, even me, like, I'm a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos. I'm not Pete Thorne. I'm never going to be Pete Thorne, and I do not aspire to be Pete Thorne because there's only one of him.
Right.
You know?
He already exists. Yep.
He's there. He's doing his thing. He's incredible at what he does. So that means I have to do something different. And I think it's the same thing for pedal companies. Sure. Are you doing something different? Because I think that different is better than being better. Like, if I wanted to be the next Brian Wampler, why? Do something different. You know? Right. It's like, there's already a Wampler. Do something different. Come to the table with fresh ideas and try to get a smaller market and grow that instead. And I think we get lost in the weeds of like wanting to become all rock stars. I think it's a symptom of being an artistic and creative person. We want our names to be remembered. So when we make gear, I imagine that you want to be on the tongue of everyone that knows about guitar pedals or guitar amps or guitars or whatever it is. I don't know if you had aspired to that. Like, I went in a really long about way to get to that question, but did you think that would happen to you, Brian? Did you think you're like, everyone's going to know me because like I can feel it, or did it just kind of happen?
Honestly, I still kind of don't believe it. I still don't even think it's that way a lot of times. Most times. I mean, it's hard to talk about without sounding very egotistical, but there's a lot of times like, I don't know about doing this or that because who's going to care? And then like someone else that works with me, like, you are the Wampler pedals. They'll care. And I'm like, I make toys for guitar players. This is not a big deal, you know? Like, so, I mean, to me, it's like, it's not insignificant, but there's so many more things that other people do that are way more important, you know? Okay. As far as like being popular or famous, like I like what I do. I like, how I do it, but it takes a certain type of personality as well. So, yeah. I mean, if you're the type that you like working 7 a.m. to 5 p.m, and you like, or let's say 8 a.m, whatever, you like working 8 hours a day and then spending the evening with your family and having dinner with your family, you ain't going to be a JHS, or you're not going to be our size. I literally work 14 hours a day, 6 days a week most times, and probably another 6 or 7 hours on Sunday. That's a common day for me.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
I mean, I'll pop in because I work across the road from our house. So I'll pop in for, 30 minutes and have some lunch and talk to everybody for a minute, but I'm right back out here till 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm up at 10 or maybe 9 even,
Okay.
but that's how I'm wired. I'm the opposite, where I used to have that 7 to 5 job, and I was bored. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I'm like, I'm just going to start like writing songs and figured these people are modifying pedals over here on the internet. And that looks cool. I'm going to do some of that at night. And that's where all this started, because I was bored. I didn't know what to do with myself. I just am not the type that can work 8 hours a day. But I take that back. I'm not the type that can work 8 hours a day doing something I love.
Right.
I've had plenty of jobs that I hated. I could, 8 hours a day was plenty for that. And I just got to a point where life is entirely too short to do something you hate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
As long as and my thought was, man, as long as I can pay my bills and eat, I'll be okay. And I'll figure out a way to do it. It might mean that, I'm I'm putting out courses now too, as well. And I'm getting ready to release a big course on like DIY type stuff. Again, teaching beginners, how to do this stuff, and when you have a kit, like how do you know what to modify? I'm getting off track here. I guess my point is, what the hell is my point? Where am I going with this? I guess my point is, I wouldn't worry so much about like being another JHS or another Earthquake or another Robert Keeler or whatever. Like you said, Jonathan, I mean, the key is to find out your quirks, your weirdness, and then display it to everyone that you can. Like, I am weird as shit, and this is how. And this is what I do, and you can like it or not like it. But this is who I am. I mean, I make it pretty clear that I mean, you can tell I'm kind of a quirky, odd person who loses their train of thought all the time. I probably, I've said this before, I'm probably slightly autistic. I definitely have a lot of other conditions like ADHD and
welcome to the club.
Other acronyms, and I'm just an oddball. I didn't fit in with my peer groups in school. I don't have that many friends because I'm just not like other people, and not necessarily in a good way. Just, I'm just a weirdo. I like toying with electric circuits. That's my thing.